Hey everyone, welcome to another conversation with courageous cancer warriors. And I am so excited for my guest today. Miss Fitz Koehler is really just an amazing soul, and she's up to so many great things. You know, she announces races across America. She's inspired millions of kids to get active through her successful school and walking program. And she even wrote a book. So I am really honored and so excited for this conversation. Fitz, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Lori. I'm very, very happy to finally be talking to you.
I know it's taken us a while. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
COVID has thrown a wrench in so many things, and definitely being able to connect with you has been one of them.
Okay.
So I would love to hear a little bit more about your story.
So, I'll start. I am a fitness expert. I've been teaching for 30 something years, and I'm the girl probably who everyone would least expect to be diagnosed with a potentially lethal disease. You know, I walked the walk and did most things right. Never perfect. Perfect's boring. I claim imperfection across the board, but yeah, living the healthiest life possible. December 2018, I went in for my annual mammogram, which I've been doing forever. And I walked out with a clean bill of health, clear scans, nothing wrong. Less than 7 weeks later at a hotel bathroom at a race weekend, I came out of the shower naked, and thankfully I had an itch. I rubbed my underboob and there it was. It felt like a bean, and I knew exactly what it was. I had no doubt in my mind. It was, oh crap, I got breast cancer. And so this is a pivot point for me. And I hope people, take their own health seriously, as I did not call my mom and cry or whine to my girlfriends or Google it. I picked up my phone instantly. Within 30 seconds, I had the gyno's office on the phone, and I was making that appointment. Thankfully, I moved fast because my cancer was also moving very fast. By 7 weeks after that clean mammogram, when I went in for another mammogram and an ultrasound, I had already had a sizey mass and 3 infected lymph nodes. So the doctors were also taking it very seriously. And then I think 3 weeks after finding my lump, I started chemo, and I ended up with 21 months. Oh no, that's a lie. 21 rounds, 15 months of chemo, which was far too long, 33 rounds of radiation and a couple surgeries, and I am cancer free.
Yes, this is what we love. Yes, I love to hear that. And, I always say we never want people to be part of this tribe, but
Right.
if you are going to be part of this tribe, like, you need to surround yourself by people who are going to really set you up for success. And I really feel like you're one of those people. Like,
Yeah.
your story is really impactful, and it reminds us of, don't waste time. Time's not your friend when it comes to this stuff. And I'm really glad that you really became your own advocate, and you listened. You didn't have fear stop you in your
No, never. In fact, fear motivates me. I always take great action when I'm afraid, and I am often afraid. I'm not without fear. I use fear as a reason, as motivator. I got to do this because it scares me. So, 2 things. Health matters. Right now there's so many, 30 somethings who've been reckless with their health. They're overweight, they're out of shape, they've earned type 2 diabetes, et cetera. And now they're in this, quote unquote, high risk category, which is completely unacceptable unless you have some sort of genetic, issue, or you've been diagnosed with like you and I, with something random like breast cancer, or you've been hit by a bus. The average 30-year-old should have taken good enough care of themselves, so they shouldn't be in anyone's high risk category. So, as you and I move forward, looking over our shoulders for the rest of our lives, hoping cancer will not return, the one thing we can control is our health. And I just met with a breast cancer support group last night. And, that's one of the themes is, when I was going through treatment and my hemoglobin numbers were low, or this thing was happening and my body was being ripped to shreds by the treatment, I would ask my doctor, okay, what can I do? Is there something proactive I can do so this doesn't hurt, or my hair won't fall out, or whatever it is? And if he said, yes, you can do X, Y, Z, I did that thing because I wanted the suffering to stop, and something like the hemoglobin, I said, okay, it's low. What can I do to prevent myself from getting transfusions? And he said, I'm sorry, Fitz, there's nothing you can do. So I like having control. So, your health is something for the most part you can control. So moving forward, exercising, eating wisely, sleeping often, and removing the cranky people, those are no longer optional for people like us. We know what it's like to have someone tell you, you may not be around next year. And, when you get diagnosed with cancer, instantly all you think is, God, I wish I had my health. I just want to be healthy. And so if you're lucky to survive round one, which most people are, fortunately, I mean, the statistics are really good for most cancers. Sadly, not all, but you remember that moment of just thinking, golly, I wish I could be healthy.
Yeah.
So moving forward, prioritize your health, do your absolute best. And when you do that, you will fend off, possibly a return of your cancer, heart disease, diabetes. There's all sorts of things that we're playing defense on, and a healthy lifestyle will go a long way.
And so how would you get that message across to this, group of, especially women in their 30s, who just don't see beyond where they are right now? Like, what would be your go-to for that?
Well, so that's what I do. I spend my entire career trying to convince people to do better, to be better, to make fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. And, for the reality is, I always say, I have a master's degree in the most simple, stupid science in the world. Fitness is uncomplicated. Move your body often, watch what you put in your mouth, get some sleep, remove the cranky people. You don't have to count carbs. You don't have to count macronutrients. You don't have to run a marathon. You have to move your body in a way that makes you huff and puff, do some sort of strength training that makes you grunt. There are some nuances and, certain pillars of fitness, strength, cardio, and flexibility and balance. However, it's really not that complicated. You just have to every day work to do better and be better. And if you do, those benefits are endless, and they come in all sorts of ways. It's not only feeling good about your body and looking the way you would like to look. Hard, curvy muscles are pretty spectacular to see and to own. But then there's this quality of life thing, which more energy, better sleep. We're less likely to be injured, have sprains, strains, and tears. And so, I'm constantly trying to convince people to be proactive with their own health, because it is like winning the lottery. When you finally get to the place where you're in your ideal fitness level, your ideal weight, all of those things are moving, well, then you never have to agonize over your hips or your waist or being exhausted. Everything functions better. You're even a nicer parent. You're a nicer partner. You're better at work. And sometimes I look at people and say, well, isn't that enough?
Right.
If there was a magic pill that provided all those things, you would sell your house and home to get it. So fitness is the magic pill.
And, I loved what you said is it doesn't, there's certain things that you have to do, but ultimately the goal is to get out there and just be active. And somebody worded it to me, it's like, get out there, get active for like 20 minutes and just make sure you sweat. Is that something that you would agree with?
Absolutely. And so whether you're playing tennis or biking or hiking or dancing in the living room, I mean, turn on YouTube, put on Just Dance and follow along. If you used to like cheerleading when you were a teenager, fine, put on some cheerleading tutorial videos, even if you're a 75-year-old dude, and follow along. It's really, we're very flexible. Find something you love that will keep you motivated. That'll keep you coming back, and constantly try and push the envelope. Once you get active.
I am totally finding that cheerleading channel, and I'm going to make my boyfriend do it with me. And I might actually video it, and I'm going to send it to you. That's hysterical. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. And I agree. I can't agree with you more. Like everything that you've said just really just speaks to my soul and to what my beliefs are. Right. And, I get so frustrated, especially right now where, I'm not always in agreement with what people are getting told, especially with, this past year and this virus that we have going on, right? And the fact that people are being told to stay inside and like, you shouldn't go outside and do all that. And it makes me angry because I feel like being in nature is something that we need as humans. So what would you say to somebody who's really terrified of getting exposed?
Right.
And like they're sitting at home and not willing to go outside?
Well, so I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna address this with two ways. When I officially was the most immunocompromised person on planet Earth, and I was that sick, gray, bald, girl who had at least a 5-month solid tequila hangover. I would never stopped exploding. I never missed a flight. I travel almost in a real year. I travel every single weekend and I host mass crowds, the Los Angeles Marathon, Buffalo, Philadelphia, big Sur Marathons, the Wonder Woman Run series. So I'm out there. I never missed a flight, never wore a mask, never missed an event. I never missed an opportunity to stand at a finish line and hug hundreds or thousands of sweaty, germy strangers. Why? Because my life is better with people. My life is better with hugs and smiles and interaction. And no matter how sick I was, stepping onto those stages in front of those people, those wonderful, germy people, made my life better. I got to forget about being sick for a while, and I got to be enthralled and invested in other humans. And I completely believe the running community contributed to my survival, 100%, no doubt. And then I just finished chemo May of 2020. And so cancer is freaking scary. And I'm not saying COVID isn't scary for some people. I am not saying that at all. However, for most of us, it's a 99.9998 survival rate. The fact that people have been told to hide under the covers, there's the boogeyman outside, and don't let your children go to school. The kids have almost a 100% survival rate. And here's the deal with this person in charge, and I'm going to call him out by name, Fauci, who I think has lost his medical mind, he is Mr. Sick Care. He's Mr. Hysteria. Not once, and I do say not once, has he stood on national television and said, you know what, Americans, in order to build a bulletproof immune system, every last one of you needs to start exercising. You need to get outside. Instead of locking down the beaches, we open them up and we encourage everybody to go for a swim. Everyone needs to hit a trail. Gyms, instead of closing down, you open up 24 hours a day and make room, because our citizens are now prioritizing their health. They're going to go exercise. And on that note, our citizens are going to go rummaging through the farmer's market, which should be open, and the grocery store. And every last American is going to pick a produce item of 5 different colors and have a bite every single day. Not once has he helped people build their immune system or promote actual health. So in the land of give me liberty or give me death, this has been the most disgusting, vile, dangerous year of our entire history. And the fact that if I had not beaten breast cancer, I would have died alone in that hospital, and some nurse would have stood between my mother, my husband, and my children, holding my hand on my way out, makes me want to go and, implement the old Sparky here in Florida again. I am not okay with this. And so if you are immune compromised because you are facing some sort of disease, I get it, but you still need to incorporate your passions into your life. You need to get outside. I mean, we talk about safety. Safety to me is prevention of bullets and car accidents. And so let's all be safe. We're in this together. No, I am not in this with anyone, at least not that level of shut down society hysteria. I just had another friend, because there's been many, she reached out and said, hey, my sweet husband, Eddie, committed suicide yesterday. Why? Because he hasn't been working for a year. So anyways, it's important. Exercise matters. Healthy food matters. Being outdoors matters. Being surrounded by people you love and engaging with them, it matters. We're in a position where we have to control the things we can. And I don't think living a life with 7 masks on your face in your room is the secret to longevity or mental stability. So normally I'm on these things like chi, but Lori, this is infuriating. And my father-in-law died with only his wife was allowed in the room, and his children were not allowed in. He was just old and had strokes and stuff. And it was non-COVID related, but we need to big picture quality of life here, and hiding out and keeping children out of school, not big picture quality of life. So send the hate mails directly to fitzness.com if you want. You can send all the mean words you want, but I'm an actual expert in health and fitness, and that's my actual opinion.
Yeah. And I can't agree with you more, right? I just got off the phone this morning with a friend who's in her 80s. She was elderly, but she was still mobile, hunkered herself down, didn't move, and her body atrophied. And to the point that her muscles were not able to sustain her even standing. And he just happened to go by and see her, and she was on the ground because she couldn't even walk anymore. Like, that is not living to me. And it really angers me. So I stand by what you say. You could send hate mail to me too, guys, because I'm in agreement with this. And it really just gets me, I'm also in Florida, and it's like Florida's getting a huge bad rap right now. But what people are failing to recognize is that everything we do is outdoors. Our malls are open aired malls, right? Like, yeah, we're being safe. And yes, people in Florida are like taking precautions, folks. Like we are, but we also are living an active lifestyle outdoors because our environment allows it. And so when people are telling me like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Right?
I'm living life.
Yeah.
All our thousands and thousands of soldiers that died on the shore of Normandy, they did not do it so people would be like, oh, can I leave my house today? Oh, can I go to school today? That is not the American way. I mean, freedom is number one on my list. Some people are like, God, kids, family. Freedom is number one. And without freedom, everything goes to pot, at least in my book. If you want to be micromanaged and controlled by some local government guy, then fine for you. That's your free choice. But that is not the way I choose to live. And I resent the fact that I'm resuscitating my business because of our local government. And I resent the fact that people have been denied access to health care and mammograms for 3 months. No mammograms, no colonoscopies, no skin checks, no vision checks. All the people that would have been diagnosed with a stage 1 or stage 2 cancer are now finding out they're stage 4 nightmare. They're incurable, all because Gavin Newsom and Mr. Cuomo thought that it was a fun idea to shut down elective procedures. I do not consider mammograms elective. They are required.
Yeah. And I could speak to, my background is as a pathologist assistant, and, we work in the hospitals. We're the ones that are part of the diagnostic staff. And, when people like me are getting furloughed and we're getting laid off because elective surgeries means that the hospital can't pay our salaries, like there's a problem. There's a problem. Right. And, it's one of those things that I got furloughed and I just never, when did I get furloughed? I got furloughed in March of 2020. And it's one of those things that I've always just, I grew my business more. I tried to kind of just promote that. And I'm going to be honest, I love what I do for a living. I love the difference I make for people, but I personally do not have any interest in going back into the hospital right now and work there. I don't want to do it. So I have done everything else that I can in order to just not go back. And so I love what you're saying. And I love how passionate you are about it, because everything, I'm in agreement with you. I think everything that you've said is like spot on. So for people who are listening, I also believe that the precautions we're taking with COVID, is the precautions that you need to take when you're immunocompromised, right? Like be smart about it. Like don't, and the thing too, is that I just feel like we've gotten ourselves into this position that there's so much information out there that is just not the truth.
Right.
And people believe it's the truth. So what would you say to somebody who, it's kind of hard too, because there's all that peer pressure. What would you say to someone, that might be living in a colder climate, that, can't find themselves a set of dumbbells and how do you support them? What do you say?
What I love to do, and the way I've built my business, is that corporations pay my salary. So, I've worked as speaker, spokesperson for companies like Disney, Oakley, Tropicana, Office Depot, Moffitt Cancer Center. These guys, they pay me. So I come in and I speak either on their behalf or I speak to their employees, and I tie their brand to healthy living. That allows me to give out tons of free resources to individuals. And here's the deal. I have the education. I don't feel this is information that I should withhold from people in exchange for money. So my resources for the general public are free. I have Fitzness.com. That's Fitzness.com. And then Fitzness on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, all those social media channels. But I have tons of little video segments. So if you want to know how to exercise your back today, you just go on my YouTube channel or my Facebook or my website, and then you look up a back exercise. If you want to know how to lose weight, on the very cover of Fitzness.com every single day for the past, almost 10 years, it's the exact formula for weight loss, where I teach you how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be. No pills, no powders, no supplements, no shakes, no sticky wraps, no snake oil, no misery and frustration and suffering. This is just science teaching you a little math, a little science, and a little discipline goes a very long way. And so there are, obviously my resources, but then there's a ton of other free resources. And so if you are at home, and whether you're afraid to go outside or you just don't have ski equipment to go, snowshoeing or whatever it is, then you get online and there's a million resources. And you could just, like I said before, look up the cheerleading workout or a boxing workout or, here's some yoga for today. There's so many free resources right now. And, what I always find valuable for me is control. I want control over my vehicle. I want control over my disease, over my health, all of these things. And when you can take control, take it. So if you can't go outside, figure out what you can do in-house. Fitness does not require fancy equipment. It does not require fancy skill. It just requires you to start moving and do that continuously and push the envelope. You'll get there.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your book.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
Noisy cancer comeback, running at the mouth while running for my life.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write that, and how has that been for you?
Yeah. So the thing that inspired me, well, there was two things. Number one is what I realized as I started going through it is nobody tells you what it's really like to go through cancer care. Right. They'll fluff. They boil over and say, well, you may be sick, you may be tired, you may be bald. And I was all of those things, but nobody gets into the minutia, the weird and strange and overwhelming side effects. And as avalanche of this and that started happening to me, and I started thinking, what the hell? Nobody tells you this. And then because I'm sarcastic, I started thinking, oh my God, this is really funny. I mean, I was suffering severely, but I thought this is just insanity. People should know. And, backtracking a little bit, I had no choice but to tell the public what I was going through because I had 2 feet of long blonde hair and it was about to be gone. I would have actually kept it private. I would have just endured the chemo and went through it. But I had no choice because I was going to show up on stages bald and I chose not to wear wigs. So there I was bald. People were going to say, what the heck is happening? But while I was going through it, that whole almost year and a half, I never told anybody I was sick. I never told anybody I was suffering. I just said, I'm fine. I'm fine. My business is to be a beacon of health and happiness. And I didn't want a pity party, but I didn't want to turn this, oh, woe is her attention to me. So I saved it all for the book. And I get totally raw, totally real. I share all the juicy, gory details and people are blown away. And cancer survivors, cancer patients are pumping their fists going, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I didn't know that was going to happen to me, or haha, it happened and that was weird. And then the other thing is, I've spent my career helping people do better and be better. And I really feel very comfortable that I owned the mental game of cancer. So, it was hard. I cried a lot. I was stressed. It's unbearably stressful. However, I never have that pity party or that why me moment because I have great perspective. I've always decided, hey, I'm not a kid with cancer. And can you imagine, it's not my kid with cancer, which would be the worst. And thankfully for me, it was a curable type of cancer that I didn't, once they convinced me 94% of all breast cancer cases are curable. Yours is specifically curable. I was able to put away my legitimate, terrifying fear of dying and missing out on my children's life. And then the other thing is I kept my passions. I refused to give up my career or time with my kids. And those are the things that really fueled me. Even when I was at my lowest, even when I was devastatingly ill, those things kept me afloat. And I think everyone, no matter what you're going through on the best day and on the worst day, if you love something, music, art, soccer, comedy, whatever it is, incorporate that in your life because it's bound to give you a boost. If you're stuck in the hospital and you love animals, fine, you can't go hug your donkey, but you can get on the internet and just check out tons of really sweet, adorable, heartwarming animal videos to make you feel better. And then last but not least, I just chose to be positive. And, I realized you score no extra points for being the saddest girl in the room. And so when someone said something funny, I chose to laugh. And sometimes people, when they get in a dark place, they feel like I'm stuck here. I have to continue being dark. I don't, I'll get more attention. I'll get more support if I'm sad. And I don't think that's necessarily true. If people can bring a smile to your face, maybe they'll come back and try to do it again. So that's why I wrote the book. And so far it's become a bit of a go-to manual. People that, well, every day I get another message or 3 that says, hey, my dad, my sister, my daughter was diagnosed with XYZ cancer. Can you please get them your book ASAP? And it's a real privilege to be able to contribute to, make someone's life a little bit easier when they're going through cancer.
Yeah. Thank you. Because, you're just a beacon of, I don't want to use the word hope, but you're just a breath of fresh air for what people need. Right. I love the fact that you are just raw and real and just direct. Everybody, right? Like, and I love that, because that's how, I try to live my life, and I get myself in trouble sometimes, but
me too.
So many times with these conversations, people don't want to speak the truth. Like, you know what? It sucks. We don't want to be a part of it, but you know what? You're going to have to make the best of it. There's going to be some stuff you don't want to go through. There's going to be some stuff that makes you not feel so great or whatever it is. Right. But like, and people try to, especially people who haven't been here, they don't know how to handle it. So what would you say to somebody, like the loved ones that are listening out there, the caregivers that are out there, that just really sometimes don't know what to say?
Well, I would say to start by staying positive. A couple of the issues I talked about in the book were some of the strange responses I got up front, and I can say that everybody's intentions were great, right? Yep. I was blessed with a outpouring of love and concern, but some people would reach and say, "Oh, I just want to let you know, my mom died of breast cancer. Good luck." And I was like, "What? Why?
Right. How does that help me?"
I'm trying to put on blinders to the horrible death toll in this disease's path. Yeah. So, I got quite a few of those comments that made me think like, and I know they were just trying to connect. So they get a pass on being stupid, not mean. But yeah, so if you know someone who is diagnosed with anything, whatever it is, let's stay positive. Hey, science is great. I hear they're making great strides. I'm going to be here to support you. I'm going to help you through it. So that's good enough. Not, I know 4 people who died of that. How horrible. And then there are ways to pitch in, money monetarily. Not everybody needs it. I continued to work, and I have insurance. So it was expensive, but I didn't lose my house. But some people will need money. And for sure, I think those GoFundMe pages are helpful. Meals, I couldn't shop. I couldn't cook. My husband became this single parent. He was not only taking care of the kids alone, but then he was taking care of me. And I just couldn't do food. And so all the people that dropped off foods or sent, Grubhub or Bite Squad gift cards, or just they said, "Fitz, what does your family like to eat? Order from Chili's. We'll pick it up, deliver it." The meals really mattered. People drove my kids to and from school and sports. And then there's your time and your talents. And so I am a super pro. I've taken so many of my friends to and fro doctor's appointments. And then I had some friends take me to and from doctor's appointments. There was points where I was just medicated and unsafe to drive. And then there's your talents. There's cleaning the bathroom, there's vacuuming, there's mowing the lawn. And people are often too afraid to ask. They just feel like, oh, I can't ask my friend to fold my laundry. Knock on the door, pound, show up, storm in and say, "Oh, your dishes need to be done. Here I come." And I'm that person. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit of a bull in a china shop. So when I know someone needs help, I just go help. And I've had friends with cancer. I lost a girlfriend of pancreatic cancer a few years ago, but I would just show up on the door and say, what are we going to do? Sometimes we went for a walk. Sometimes I folded clothes, and that really mattered to her and her family. Because when a parent falls out, everybody suffers. So yeah, they just kind of force it in. Don't say, "Hey, if you need help, let me help." I say, show up with something helpful. Either do something helpful or bring something helpful.
Yeah, that's excellent advice, because, everybody needs support. Everybody needs community, especially to get through this. And, I love it. Be specific, ask them, what they need too, right? What do you need? And if they tell you they don't need anything, then like you said, like bring them food, do something. I absolutely love that. I think people need that more. And I myself have had similar experiences where people have said stuff to me where I'm like, wait, what? And you just kind of got to forgive them and just be like, I get it. It's okay. No problem.
and then here's the other thing is caregivers matter too. So they need to focus on their own health. They need to get their hair cut every few months. You know, when my dad died of cancer, the day after his death, my mom went out to get a haircut. It had gotten away from her and she was so frustrated. She hadn't done anything for herself. So give the caregivers a break. The caregivers need to continue to exercise. They need to watch what they put in their mouth. If the caregiver gets sick, who takes care of patient number one? So we really need to make sure our caregivers are pursuing healthy habits and mental relief.
And that's the thing too, like give them the opportunity to go. Like, even if it's a matter of if somebody, you know, needs to have constant supervision, then just let them go for an hour. You know, get out of the house. Like I know that from my own experience as a caregiver, from, you know, my family. It's just like, sometimes people just need a break. And it's one of those things of they need they're in this too. Like they have all the strain on them too. Right. And sometimes it's a little bit more because they want to fix it and they can't. Right. So it's like, I love that you brought them up.
Yeah. And then of course, pick up the kids, take the kids skating or whatever, you know, everyone within that nuclear family is doing their own share of suffering for sure.
Yeah. So besides the book, what's on deck for you next?
Well, so I have revitalized my corporate speaking career. And so if anyone has a business and needs someone to do a fitness presentation live or via Zoom, I'm doing a lot of that now, which is great because it puts me back in connection with humans, which I love humans and I love teaching fitness. So that's been great. And races are finally starting to pop back up. So March 27th will be my first back on the microphone out in Arizona, the Havasu half marathon and 5K. Shortly after, I'll be traveling the country with Mud Girl, announcing some of the most fun female-centric muddy obstacle course race events. Buffalo Marathon will be soon. Yeah, I have some events and it really varies. Are they a blue state? Are they a red state? Are the cities, even within a red state, if there's a blue mayor, are they likely to give out permits? I'm at the mercy because when it comes to running and the racing, I'm in charge of nothing other than making happy noise. So I just, you know, I yield to my incredible race organizations and race directors who are fighting tooth and nail to bring this very healthy activity back to life. You know, the running industry, we're the reason 21 million people choose to get up and get fit every year because they look forward to our events and we help them build their immune system. So anyone suggesting that the running industry or racing is unhealthy, they're confused.
And I love it, right? Like, I love it. I used to live in Boston and it's a great running town. And, you know, there was nothing better than running the Charles. You know, it's something that I would do. And they had it really set up great that the bridges would be certain miles.
Yeah.
And I love that. It really inspired me to keep going to the next bridge, keep going farther. And ironically enough, we were talking about this offline earlier, is that I had done the Boston half marathon probably 10 years before, the half, I think I said the half. Yeah. Not the full, the half. And I had set myself up to do like the 5K, the half, 10K, the half. Good. And then I was actually going to try to see if I could kind of maneuver by doing all of those, if I could get a ticket for the marathon. And literally I had just done the 5K and then I got diagnosed. And so it's one of those things that I was like, eek, right? There was no running to be had at that point after bilateral mastectomy. So it was, it's something that I'm really excited. I finally feel a couple years later, you know, running's back on my radar. So I'm really excited.
This is something people should know about the running community is I say runners, but at least half of our people are just walkers.
Yeah.
You know, when you sign up for a race, there's only a certain percentage of people that are racing. They're racing to win, you know, to beat each other or beat their own age group, or they're racing to beat their own personal best. And then the rest of us are just kind of participants out there having some exercise, getting some fresh air, enjoying the group camaraderie, the medals, the music, the fun announcer. So if you're someone who says, well, I can't run or I can't run fast. Okay, well, fine. There is not any race on the planet where there's a course marshal out there saying, you didn't bend your knee 90-degree angles and you didn't propel yourself off the ground. So walkers are welcome. We have, I would say if I have 30,000 athletes, maybe 3,000 exclusively run. There's probably about 20,000 that do some combination of running and walking. And then there's this other 6,000, whatever number I made up. The other portion just exclusively walks, and they're all welcome. And I tell you what, as your announcer, I completely admire the speedsters up in front. I get it. They work hard. They perform at a top level, and I support them, and I make their championship moments very big. However, my heart is with the back of the packers. Yeah. I love those people, the obese, the out of shape, the people with their every joint on their body wrapped up with some sort of tape. We have people doing marathons with 0 legs. And I'm telling you, they have 0 legs. They're running on prosthetics. There's always some sort of I beat cancer person coming through the finish line. And, you know, the finish line can be a life-changing place. And it is such a gift for me to be able to not only witness those moments, but to be able to be the voice of those moments, making sure each person feels recognized, acknowledged, congratulated. And I do want everyone to take part and at least want to come out for a 1 miler. You know, if you can roam through the mall for an hour, you can do a 5K. I promise you, it's not that terrifying, but start small and, you know, give a few events a try so you find your groove and keep going.
Yeah, excellent advice. And I just love your soul.
Oh,
you just have an amazing soul. And thank you for who you are for the world and for what you're trying to accomplish and for everything that you've done up until this point, because your kindness and your love for people just really exudes from you. Like, it's amazing. So how can people find you?
Well, Fitzness.com is going to be my home base for the rest of my life. So Fitzness, and then at Fitzness on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn, but stick with the word Fitzness and you will find me. And not only do I want people to follow me, but I do want them to reach out and say, hey, I heard you on Lori's podcast and I'm mad at you, or I love what you said, whatever it is. I'm always happy to have the conversation and I love meeting new people.
I love that. Thank you again so much for being here. It's really an honor to have you.
Oh, thanks, Lori. Thanks. Take care, everybody.